Well, now the Raiders are on the clock, and of course that's where we were supposed to be for the draft. But again, the commissioner making the announcement last night that the 2022 draft will indeed be played, and there you are held in Las Vegas, and there see, of course, the new stadium and their head coach and GM Jon Gruden and Mike Mayock waiting to see what they do next. But before we announce this next selection, we have a very special family from the Tragedy Assistance Program for Survivors, TRAPS, which offers care to those grieving the loss of a military loved one. For more on that, we'd like to introduce the mother, stepfather, and brother of a fallen hero, Petty Officer Rico Peavy Jr.
Hi, everyone. Thanks for having us here at the NFL Draft. We are very excited to be here, and we're here in honor of our son, and he is very happy to see the Raiders come to his hometown, and we're just all so excited to welcome the Raiders to our city. Go Raiders! Go!
Nice.
Thank you to the Pruitt family. The entire NFL family joins me in offering our condolences as we join you tonight in honoring Rico's memory by making this next pick in his honor. With the 80th pick in the 2020 NFL Draft, the Las Vegas Raiders select Lynn Bowden, running back, Kentucky.
Well, this is really curious because you could call him a running back, you could call him a wide receiver, or you could call him what they had him play last year, which was quarterback. He was one of the best dual threat quarterbacks coming out of high school. And Lewis, look, he was supposed to make the transition to wide receiver, but then, of course, they had some injuries. They asked him to go back and play quarterback, and he set all kinds of rushing records for the Wildcats this year.
Yeah, and I think wide receiver is where he'll ultimately wind up in the NFL, and he will work primarily in the slot, as you see on the screen, because that's where he's the most instinctive. That's where he's able to find zone holes, exploit them, get down the field, has good ball tracking skills, and can finish on the play. He's a guy who really has good running ability after the catch, and he's someone who understands field awareness. He knows how to run routes. He knows how to get open. He's someone with the ball in his hands. In the open field, he just has natural run instincts. And really what Jon Gruden has gotten a guy like Bowden is this. He can line him up just about everywhere, and he can really make you as a defense try to figure out when he comes onto the football field, is he going to be a quarterback? Is he going to be a slot receiver? Is he going to be a running back? And that affects your personnel groupings and how you're going to defend him. What Jon Gruden has done by drafting him now is just giving the AFC West some more to think about when Lynn Bowden gets on the football field.
Yeah, he was the winner of the 2019 Paul Hornung Award for the nation's most versatile player. Again, all he did was set a school record for career and single-season rushing yards by a quarterback, break the SEC single-game rushing yard by a quarterback when he had 284 on the ground against Louisville, and turned the program's highest single-season yards per rush attempt average at 7.9. Lynn Bowden Jr. did a little bit of everything for them, and there's the award we're talking about with him. Came from a very rough upbringing in Youngstown, Ohio, where he saw a lot of stuff at a very, very early age. The homicide rate in Youngstown, Ohio is about 7 times the national average, and Lynn Bowden Jr. is now going to be a very versatile player for the Raiders. See how Jon Gruden and Mike Mayock find a way to get him on the field and use his very unique skill set. Meanwhile, let's go back to the commissioner for the very next pick in this draft.
I'll do it anyhow. With the 81st pick in the 2020 NFL Draft, the Las Vegas Raiders select Bryan Edwards, wide receiver, South Carolina.
All right, back-to-back picks now for the Raiders, and there you see the numbers for Bryan Edwards. Very, very productive for the South Carolina Gamecocks. Set career records for games with a catch, 48, receptions, 234, and receiving yards, 3,045. Also ranks third in school history with 22 career receiving touchdowns. DJ, he was not able to work out of the combine after breaking his foot while training. So what are we seeing out of Bryan Edwards going forward?
Well, he'd have been in the second round in this draft if he had a chance to be healthy going through the process. He's somebody that's going to play that X receiver on the outside at the next level. You line him up, he wins with physicality at the line of scrimmage. You see his ball skills with the one-handed snag against Tennessee. He reminds me a lot of Chris Godwin when he was coming out of college. I think this kid has that type of ability. And when you look at now what the Oakland Raiders have done, Henry Ruggs to be their Z receiver, somebody that can really take the top off the defense. Then you come back with Bowden, who can be a wildcat quarterback, gadget guy, use him in the slot, put him on the opposite side in the slot from Hunter Renfrow. You've got something to do with him. And now you've got Brian Edwards to be that X to compete with Tyrell Williams. You guys know John Gruden likes to get up at 4 o'clock in the morning. He might have to start getting up at 3 o'clock in the morning to think up some new plays with all these new wide receivers.
Well, they are clearly being true to the Raiders' spirit with the number of wide receivers they have taken, including the speedsters, Henry Ruggs as well. But there are going to be a lot of toys for that offense now for John Gruden and company to play with. Again, Henry Ruggs ran that 4.27 at the combine, and basically 1/4 of his catches at Alabama were touchdowns. Somewhat questioned about that move for Damon Arnett in the first round, but then they get Lynn Bowden Jr. and then Brian Edwards in back-to-back selections. John Gruden and company. And you see his son Deuce there in the background as well. You might imagine, yes, he is a power lifter. Mike Mayock and company checking in on what's going on from another room. Meanwhile, it is now the Cowboys that are on the clock.
You gotta like a kid who's a little raw, but has an awful lot of talent.
Mel, you're right, though. When he went to high school, basically football was an afterthought. He saw me in dining hall, the high school coach did, and said, "Hey, kid, what are you playing?" And he said, "I was actually going to do dance to get more flexible for basketball." He said, No, you're playing football." And that was pretty much the end of it. I started playing football. Again, this draft was supposed to be in Vegas. The pandemic forced us to stay home and socially distance, but the Vegas Raiders are back on the clock.
You got the 100th pick. With the 100th pick in the 2020 NFL Draft, the Las Vegas Raiders select Tanner Moose, linebacker, Clemson.
So Tanner Muse, linebacker, is off the board. Mel, tell us a little bit about Tanner Muse.
You know what he is, Trey? Think about Hunter Renfrow, they got out of Clemson last year. Tanner Muse was a workout warrior. In addition to being a guy who can help you on special teams, made a lot of plays in that defensive secondary, came up, played as a linebacker in a lot of ways. This kid has dual potential, going to be a big-time special teams player, all over the field. Very instinctive player, good tackler. You line him up in a variety of ways there at Clemson. Again, you're getting a guy, like I say, like Hunter Renfrow. They hit on him last year. They go back to Clemson. They got Clone Farrell last year early. Tanner Muse is going to make the team. Whether he's going to be a factor in that deep patrol, he's going to be a big-time, have a big-time opportunity to compete and obviously contribute right away on special teams.
Yeah, you mentioned Hunter Renfrow, right? Well, let's take a look at the number of Clemson players that have found their way onto the roster here. This is the Raiders selection drive, excuse me. You got Henry Ruggs there at Alabama, but these are now the current Raiders players. Trayvon Mullen, the cornerback last year in the second round, Cleveland Ferrell, 4th overall pick. Then Hunter Renfrow, his nickname was third in Renfrow last year for the Raiders, which I thought was fantastic. And there's Tanner Muse, who goes now in the 3rd round there to the Raiders. Yes, Mike Mayock, be happy, enjoy. Football things are being discussed. That's why we do this. The draft continues on ESPN, ABC, and the NFL Network as well. Knock on wood if you're with me, John.
You're watching the two.